Are you ready? Good evening. First, let me thank you for taking a little bit of your time this evening to join us to learn about MSD's Clarity program. My name is Damon Talley. I'm the Operations Director of Treatment Facilities for MSD. I oversee all of the treatment operations with MSD at all of our water quality treatment centers. So we'd like to welcome you to our community meeting, where we look forward to walking through MSD's odor control efforts in your community. But before we begin, a little bit about MSD and what we do.
MSD, ensuring safe, clean waterways for Louisville and the surrounding region. MSD does more than you might realize to protect the health and safety of our communities, and the work is really quite extraordinary. It is our mission to provide quality wastewater, stormwater, and flood protection services to protect public health and safety. Let's talk about MSD's 3 key services. First up, wastewater treatment. This is the water we send down the drain from sinks, showers, tubs, and toilets. MSD treats more than 170 million gallons of wastewater every day. 5 water quality treatment centers ensure that the water meets or exceeds regulatory standards before it's released back into local streams and the Ohio River. Next up, stormwater management. What happens when we get heavy rains or after it snows? All of that water has to go somewhere. MSD makes sure the runoff flows into drainage channels to underground pipes that transport water away from homes and businesses and into area creeks, streams, and the Ohio River. Now let's talk about flood protection. MSD flood protection infrastructure includes 29 miles of flood wall, 16 pumping stations, 150 floodgates, and 80 flood wall closures. It all works together, keeping the community safe when river waters rise. MSD also closely monitors water quality within the system to make sure pollutants don't contaminate our waterways. Plus, the innovative technology and engineering of MSD's waterway protection tunnel and underground storage basins further protect our community from dangerous overflows and pollution. There's more to MSD than you imagined, right? MSD is dedicated to our community's health, a cleaner environment, and a better quality of life for all area residents, today, tomorrow, and for years to come.
So again, I'd like to welcome you to our 4th virtual meeting. I believe one day soon we'll be able to get back face-to-face meetings, but for now, virtual meetings seem to be the norm. Even though we are not face-to-face, we have worked hard to make sure you have opportunities to participate in this meeting. Anytime during the meeting, if you have a question, you can ask it by emailing it to odor@louisvillemsd.org. You can also enter your question via the chat option on your YouTube feed. And we have a team of folks that are actively monitoring these feeds, and we will try to provide an answer to your questions before the meeting ends. So when we finish with today's meeting, I would like you to take away 3 outcomes this evening. I want to introduce you to the Clarity program and our plan for mitigating these naturally occurring odors. I want to give you a brief background on how odors are generated, and then describe what you can do if you smell an odor. This is a part of a series of meetings, each focused on specific parts of our community. Today's meeting is focused on the Cedar Creek Water Quality Treatment Center, and we'll be talking specifically about the facility a little later. Our full meeting schedule is on our website, and if you have missed a meeting about your area, you can view the meeting on a YouTube channel. As you just learned, MSD has a big job to do to protect the health and safety of our community. The most constant of those jobs is wastewater management. A natural phenomenon within any wastewater collection system is the production of odorous gases. MSD proactively addresses and manages sewer odors, but the change in naturally occurring weather patterns causing extended periods of dry weather, as we're experiencing right now, compounding lower velocities in a collection system, low flow, has increased odor levels and odor complaints. So today we want to introduce you to our new odor initiative. Smell something, say something. MSD has dedicated staff to help address the odors you are smelling. So again, I'm Damon Talley, Operations Director of Treatment Facilities. We have Wes Cedar, our Chief of Government and Public Affairs. We have Cheryl Lauder, our Communications Director, and Robin Birch, Odor Control and Biosolids Manager. So I'll now turn it over to Robin.
Thanks, Damon. I want to tell you a little bit more about our job at MSD and how it relates to odors. Today, we spend millions of dollars of our operation budget mitigating odors. We monitor the wastewater collection system for odors all the time. We have a full-service odor control contract with a local company that performs real-time monitoring of key locations in our wastewater collection system. They can adjust chemical addition in real time at pump stations, locations if they detect a higher than normal monitoring result. This past year, we just finished an oxygen injection project at one of our major force mains. Initial monitoring results shows a reduction of almost 100% in our gas monitoring. We have a staff in our linear asset department dedicated to cleaning over 20,000 catch basins each year. MSD's sewer system is old. Some of our wastewater collection system dates back to the Civil War. So unfortunately, we are constantly repairing and in some instances replacing the entire sewer. And finally, we have air treatment equipment at our water quality treatment facilities. But with all of this, we still get odor complaints. So MSD is starting an initiative by completing a new odor control master plan to see what else we can do to help mitigate these naturally occurring odors. MSD uses a variety of methods to help mitigate odors. For small air streams, carbon canisters are installed on manholes and pressure relief valves. These are mostly at our smaller pump stations. Using carbon is the simplest form of odor treatment. The carbon attracts and holds onto the odor-causing compounds as the airstream passes through the canister. At some of our larger pump stations in the wastewater collection system, we use chemicals to prevent hydrogen sulfide formation. Bioxide is a non-hazardous chemical that is commonly added to the wastewater stream for odor mitigation. As we mentioned before, hydrogen sulfide occurs naturally in the waste stream. This chemical addition creates an environment that allows bacteria to actively consume the dissolved sulfide that are present in the waste stream before it is converted to hydrogen sulfide. We have a few biofilters at our treatment facilities that are a very simple treatment process by exhausting the air through wood chips or large pieces of mulch. Again, bacteria live on the wood chips or the mulch, and they consume the odorous compounds as the airstream passes through. And finally, we use biological scrubbers to help reduce odor. Biological scrubbers are more complicated to operate. There are a lot more moving parts than biofilters, but the premise is the same. Inside the vessels is a bed of filter material, and living on the material is our bacteria friend that consumes the odorous compounds as the airstream passes through. One advantage of the biological scrubber over the biofilter is you can work with the manufacturer to change the type of filter you've installed to remove more than just hydrogen sulfide from the airstream, like mercaptans. So that's a little background on MSD and what we do to help reduce odors. Now Damon's going to talk about the collection system.
Thank you, Robin. So next, let's talk about the collection system and why we have odors. Remember, we mentioned part of our wastewater collection system dates back to the Civil War. The picture on the screen is an original brick and concrete sewer that remains in service today. This is the southern outfall. It's a 27-foot egg-shaped sewer. The main purpose for the wastewater collection system back in the day was to remove the waste from the population and city to reduce illness. At that time, the raw sewage went directly into the Ohio River and Beargrass Creek. So let's look at the service area map for the Cedar Creek Water Quality Treatment Center. One thing we want to point out is that in our community, again, we have older parts of the community served by a combined sewer system, where wastewater and stormwater are moved through the same system of underground pipes. It is the oldest service area containing the original sewers that went straight to the river. We call this the combined sewer area. And we have the newer service area where wastewater and stormwater are moved through different sets of pipes. We call this the separate sewer area. For the Cedar Creek service area, which you see here in the purple shaded area, it is in our separate sewer system. So let's touch a little bit on combined sewers. As I mentioned on the previous slide, in a combined sewer, all the street drains and catch basins are connected to the sewer lines in the street. So when it rains, all of the rainwater is transported via the collection system to the treatment plant. So during these wet weather events, the treatment plant can get significantly more flow. While we don't have this combined system here in the Cedar Creek service area, we do want to explain why this system experiences some odors, in case you happen to be downtown or in other parts of the community in the combined system. Part of the challenge in some of the older parts of the community is that in the combined system, catch basins are tied directly to the sewer pipe, carrying the wastewater to the treatment plant. So in this case, the Morris Foreman Water Quality Treatment Center in West Louisville. And our investigations have determined that there are still a number of locations in a combined system where some of the original catch basins, when they were installed decades ago, were installed without traps. So a trap catch basin works just like the trap under your bathroom or kitchen sink. As long as the trap contains water, the odors from the pipe or sewer will not back up through the catch basin and out to the atmosphere. In a catch basin that is trapped, any odor cannot escape past the water level. So as you can see from this diagram, the trap is below the water line. However, just like the trap in a sink that is not used very often, the water may dry out. This will cause odors in the pipe to travel out of the trap and into the atmosphere. This is what can occur during extended dry periods and during hot summer months. In an untrapped catch basin, there is not a water trap. So unfortunately, any sewer odors can travel to the atmosphere. So untrapped catch basins are a major source of collection system odors in the combined system. As we've mentioned here in the Cedar Creek service area, you have a sanitary sewer, or sometimes we call it the separate sewer system. Here, the lines that collect the rain runoff from the streets are separate from the sewer lines that go to the wastewater treatment facility. The good news when the sanitary system with the sanitary system is that we don't see a lot of the same odor issues because wastewater and stormwater are kept separate. In the separate system, there's not the issue of trapped versus untrapped catch basin. Since only rainwater is transported via the pipes connected to the catch basin, there's no sewer gas buildup. But that doesn't mean they are completely and always odor-free. When catch basins are blocked by material that shouldn't be there, odor can result. You can help this by keeping catch basins in your area free of debris. For catch basins in a combined system, MSD would normally flush the basins with water to help mitigate the odors. For catch basins in a separate system, we can't flush with water because these catch basins drain directly to a stream, and by flushing with water, we would be adding chlorinated water to the stream, which is against the clean water regulations. This could harm stream aquatic life. So also, in this part of the community, we utilize what is called a force main. The easiest way for wastewater to move is by gravity. But when you have an area that is hilly terrain, this might not be possible. So MSD has installed force mains, which is a sealed pipe through which wastewater is pumped in order to move the wastewater to the gravity part of the sewer system. Depending on the size and length of the force main, we may have to install pressure relief valves to relieve any pressure that may build up. The Cedar Creek collection system does have air relief valves, and they are typically located inside smaller manholes. So if you happen to detect an odor around a manhole, this could be the issue. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Robin to discuss some of the improvements that we're doing at the Cedar Creek facility.
Thanks, Damon. Cedar Creek is one of my favorite treatment plants in MSD. If you're not familiar, Cedar Creek is located off Bardstown Road near the Gene Snyder Freeway. Cedar Creek Water Quality Treatment Center was built in 1995 to treat 2.5 million gallons per day of flow, with an expansion completed in 2003 to treat up to 7.5 million gallons a day of flow. If you've been to our community meetings before, when we describe our treatment facilities, there's always a reason why we pick its location. Cedar Creek was the first of our regional facilities to address expansion in southeast Jefferson County. The image you're seeing is from 1997. If you live in this area, you know it is among the fastest growing areas in Jefferson County, and it is one of the fastest growing parts of MSD's collection system. The Cedar Creek plant is located in the center of the screen. So you can see we had a pretty good land buffer between us and our closest neighbor. That's the area you see kind of shaded in green. So this is the 2003 imagery. So you can see that some development has happened along the Bardstown Road area and up to the east into the Adams Run subdivision. So the land buffer that we had in 1997 has already started to diminish. This is the imagery from 2021. You will notice development has occurred to the west of the treatment plant. The area along Bardstown Road also shows considerable development. So most of you probably know the point I'm trying to make. When Cedar Creek was first built, we did not have any close neighbors. So from an odor control standpoint, that was how the plant was designed. Money is always tight. So if there was not a need for specialized equipment for odor control, it would not have been installed. But as the developments have increased in the Cedar Creek service area, so have the odor complaints. The call-out box on the right are the odor complaints for the Cedar Creek plant last year. As with other treatment facilities and our collection system, the majority of the odor complaints center around the warmer, drier months. This is the nature of wastewater treatment. So the main purpose of wastewater treatment is to separate the solid portion of the wastewater from the liquid portion. And a lot of work goes into doing this. The clean water is discharged to the local stream. We don't have solids processing at the Cedar Creek plant like we do at other treatment facilities. So we have to store these solids until we can haul them to another treatment facility. This is a picture of our solids holding tank at Cedar Creek. Now I want you to notice, I've got it circled in yellow, just about at 1 o'clock on that picture is the back of our closest neighbor. You can just barely see it in between the trees. So here's another picture with a little bit better perspective of how close houses are now to Cedar Creek. And I've circled those two solids holding tanks again with the yellow circle so you can see the perspective. So our normal operation is to fill one side of the tank with the separated solids while the other side of the tank is allowed to settle or thicken. The tank that is filling is continually aerated, and we turn off the air to the side of the tank we want to settle. A truck then comes and removes the thickened solids and hauls them to another treatment facility for further processing. When we start filling that tank and then we start filling the tank and turn the air back on. Through our investigations and many odor complaints, we determined it was the point of turning the air back on. A short burst of odor was being produced that was detected by our neighbors. As a result, we no longer turn the air off to these tanks, and the odor complaints have decreased. Not turning the air off to the tank during settling does affect our operation. We currently have a project in design to completely cover these tanks and add an odor control device. This will allow us to get back to our normal operation and help mitigate odors by collecting the air from the tanks and sending it through a biological odor control device before exhausting the air to the atmosphere. I'm excited about this project, and I think it truly shows how the communication of recurring odors to MSD will result in a positive outcome. Now, I'm not going to give you a time frame for the completion of this project. With the supply chain issues we've all been dealing with, whatever completion date I give you right now was not going to be accurate. But what I do know is the project is completing design, and we should have a contractor selected for construction by the end of this year. Another benefit when this project is complete, residents in the area should see about a 25% reduction in the truck traffic that hauls these thickened solids. Because of the rapid growth in this area, MSD will also be working to re-rate the plant capacity of Cedar Creek to meet regulatory obligations. This means we will have stricter regulatory requirements to meet before discharging our cleaned effluent into the receiving stream. To help achieve this, we will be upgrading existing treatment equipment. We are also going to take the opportunity during the re-rate project to cover the primary takes and add another odor control device. This will help mitigate odors that could naturally occur during the treatment process. MSD is very proud that Cedar Creek Treatment Facility is one of our 4 treatment centers to have earned an Operator Excellent Award from the Clean Water Professionals of Kentucky and Tennessee the past 14 years. It's quite a difficult designation to earn, as the US EPA and Kentucky Division of Water issue all water quality treatment centers a permit with very stringent water quality treatment criteria to meet prior to discharging treated water into the receiving stream. And to qualify for this award, the facility can have no more than 1 permit exceedance in a given year. 3 other MSD facilities earned this designation as well: Derrick Guthrie, High Creek, and Floyd's Fork. The odors we're talking about are naturally occurring when sewage or other materials decompose. It's a natural part of the wastewater treatment, and it's inevitable in our business. But as we talked about, MSD goes to great lengths to minimize these odors as much as possible. And while we can't completely eliminate them, we can help manage them with your partnership.
The mission of Louisville MSD is ensuring safe, clean waterways through innovative sewer and wastewater treatment. But our work doesn't stop there. The MSD Clarity Program is our initiative to reduce odors that naturally occur when sewage and other materials break down. While we can't stop all of these odors, we can better manage them with your help. If you ever experience sewer odors, let us know by calling 502-540-6000 or by visiting louisvillemsd.org/odor. Together, we can clear the air.
You can help us by visiting us online at louisvillemsd.org/odor. And you can use our quick link there to give us an odor complaint. So now back to Damon. He's going to finish up the presentation.
Thanks again, Robin. So how is MSD going to mitigate this in the future? As part of our notice of violation and agreed order with the Louisville Air Pollution Control District, MSD is developing a district-wide odor control master plan. This master plan is going to systematically look at all of our water quality treatment centers, pump stations near odor hotspots, and 1,000 miles of the wastewater collection system and three of our force mains we maintain. So how did we get here? So this process began in the fall of 2019. So MSD received a notice of violation for odors in a collection system, specifically odors in the Park Duval and surrounding areas in West Louisville. This is the first notice of violation for the collection system MSD has ever received. We asked why this could happen, and the answer is the weather. With remarkably dry weather that summer. But we took that as the starting point of the development of our master plan. And phase 1 has been focusing on Morris Foreman, as the surrounding areas in a combined sewer system have seen a number of odor issues. Now, as we head into this year, phase 2 and beyond will branch out to the remainder of the treatment centers and their collection system, including the Cedar Creek service area. So key components of our master plan is communication with our customers. We want our customers to better understand odor and how it's caused, and then how to report it when you notice something. We have developed easier tools for you to be able to report an odor. We have updated our website and our literature that help educate you on the sources of odors and what you can do to help mitigate the odors. So please visit louisvillemsd.org/odor and check out our new odor page and follow MSD on social media. So one last thing, please take our survey. We want to hear from you. On the screen is the link. It will also be available on the Odor page at louisvillemsd.org/odor and in the YouTube chat. So again, we want to thank you for your time this evening. And if you have any questions and you have not already entered them in chat or sent us an email, please take this opportunity to do so now.
Damon, thank you, and Robin for your presentation. There are a few questions in the chat. I'll read through them for you. This is from Lou Fox. I have a question about MSD cost of repairs being spread among people in the neighborhood. I am wondering why the cost goes to renters instead of the homeowners. I think that our cost of repairs go equally to all customers. And I'm not really sure about if we can address if your agreement with your rental property, it means that you get the water and sewer bill or the owner does.
Correct.
If you have a follow-up question on that, just please put that in the chat. The next question is, I want to know about the smell coming from the treatment plant on Lower River Road. What's the reason for that odor nuisance? I believe that would be our Derrick R. Guthrie treatment plant.
So I'll start with that, and Robin chime in on anything I missed. So as you remember, we talked about with Cedar Creek, we don't process solids at that facility. We haul them to another facility, and this facility is the Derrick R. Guthrie Water Quality Treatment Center. So we've added dewatering at that facility, which allows us to take those solids and press them into a cake rather than landfill. Well, based on our operation there, we have luggers that we maintain on site. And depending on the time, again, it's hot and it's dry, depending on when waste management or when we fill those luggers and we kind of sort them, that they can be taken off site. So when we've gotten complaints for that, we do an odor survey. We go around and check the area to see where it's coming from. And if it's coming from the luggers, we make sure the luggers are covered. We also have just recently installed a clean out for the luggers, clean out bay that allows us to wash any of the remaining solids out in those.
And Damon, I'll add, because I know that last odor complaint did come in over the July 4th holiday. So the landfill was closed on Monday. So unfortunately, when we load and finish up the week prior, whatever we load Friday night has to sit an extra day. And when it is hotter outside in the summer months, that is an opportunity for the odors to be a little bit worse when they have to sit because the landfill was closed for the holiday.
Thank you, Robin and Damon. There's some follow-up questions that are related to that with more about our facility, Derrick R. Guthrie Water Quality Treatment Center on Lower River Road. There's a woman someone is just expressing that the neighbors are being majorly affected and many feel affecting our health and wellness. And I'll skip on down a little bit because this one relates to it. Is sewer gas toxic?
No, it's annoying. In terms of hydrogen sulfide, the amount that you're smelling is not a toxic. It's not a toxic substance.
Again, this follow-up to Derrick R. Guthrie on River Road, it's stating that there's not much of a buffer when locating here. I'm not sure of the history of that plant, if there was a nice buffer around it.
Well, when Derrick R. Guthrie started off back in the 70s, it was or 60s, 70s, it was a pump station. And then a plant was built in the 80s. And to serve again, as we talked about in this presentation, how Cedar Creek, Bardstown Road area was expanded. Remember, in those early years, there were very few neighbors along the Lower River Road area. So as the years and expansion has gone out Dixie Highway and sewering, Cane Run Road, Dixie Highway area, Derrick Guthrie expanded from, I believe it was from 15 million gallons per day to 19, then to 30 million gallons per day. And and now it's up to 60 million gallons per day. We average probably 30 million gallons per day flow there. And also with part of our consent decree, it's a wet weather treatment facility to help also alleviate any flooding in that area. So that's with that. So the buffer has the property we've always owned. MSD has always owned there is what we've built on. And again, the odors that you've experienced here in the last couple of years have been us adding on the dewatering process that we're, constantly looking at opportunities to hear from the community to help us come up with new ways to try and mitigate those odors.
Thank you, Damon.
I said, Cheryl, I'll add to this.
Okay.
This is really our second full year of having the dewatering facility at Derek Guthrie. So it's our second summer. So it is expected that, we are going to have the odor complaints. The phase 2 of the master plan has just started at Derek Guthrie. So my team that our consultant that we've hired will be looking at that area. We're going to be doing some odor sampling this summer. And that's all part of the master plan is they're going to evaluate it. They will look at the odors and they will give us some recommendations to help mitigate them.
Thank you. There's now an odor comment about inside the house. If you smell a strong odor from a clean toilet, is it unsafe?
No. And again, some of those from your bathroom, a lot of times, as Robin said, just with the sinks and the toilets, if they're not used, that second bathroom, that half bathroom, aren't used on a regular basis, those traps will dry out in the sink. They think it's coming from the toilet, but it could be coming from the tub, or it could be coming from the sink, but no, it's still safe.
Thank you. Dan, do you have the ability to add the survey link into the chat? If you do, please do so. So we're going to move locations with a couple of next questions to the Morris Foreman Water Quality Treatment Center area in the West End. Is anything going to happen about the funk in the West End? And odors from Morris Foreman are horrible. And then there's a comment that says, is there going to be something specifically done in the Algonquin Park area? So
I'll kind of start off with that is again, majority of those odors, you gotta remember where Morris Foreman is located off Algonquin Parkway, off in the corner, and lowest point in Jefferson County. Majority of those odors you're still smelling are not necessarily from the Morris Foreman Water Quality Treatment Centers. Not to say we don't have odors from the facility, but majority of those odors, again, that everything inside Waterson Expressway is a combined system. So majority of those odors are coming from catch basins that have either dried out or catch basins that potentially are missing their traps or have been damaged over the years. So as we talked about phase 1, one of the things we had to start off with APCD, Air Pollution Control District, was the Park Duval area. So we have just recently finished assessments of all the catch basins. We've determined which catch basins are damaged and need to be focused on in Park Duval, and that work will be starting tomorrow. And while we've done that, a contractor that we had that went through and assessed all of those will be turning to the Shawnee, Chickasaw, and California neighborhoods to go through and again assess each catch basin, determine if they're trapped, if the plugs are missing, or if there's other damage that needs to be repaired. And Robin, anything you want to add on to that?
I think you've said it well, Damon. It's going to be a slow process. I'll just kind of say that, and it is very slow. We have thousands of catch basins that the crews will individually inspect. And then once we get the results back, then it's a matter of getting the projects funded. And Park Duval, we expected to have done before the summer months. I mean, that was really our plan. But again, with COVID delays, supply chain delays, that pushed us into the summer to start that project.
One thing I add on to that is also, again, as we've talked about, please call number 540-6000 or go to the odor page, because if you submit an odor complaint, then also for a number of, Rob and I are tied into the Smell My City app. So we get those emails, and we're able to funnel those through to our customer service, and then we can route those. So there again, in the combined system, if we get certain complaints, which we've done here recently, we'll send out a crew that will assess and see if they can flush the sewer line or if they can put water into the catch basins. And it helps if you can make sure you give an address, or if you know specifically that it's coming from a catch basin or a vented manhole, and you could say at the intersection of Algonquin and 26th Street or whatever. That helps us a lot to pinpoint where we'll go investigate.
Thank you. We're going to bounce back to Derek Guthrie and about question about why is there not a barrier around that facility? I think you touched on that, Damon.
So again, well, one of the things we have been looking at and talking about is, and this happened a couple of years ago when we first put in that talk with neighbors, we're looking at potentially selecting trees that are odor friendly in terms of blocking. And so again, aesthetically, you don't want to just put up a wall, and putting up a wall doesn't necessarily block all the odors. So again, as Robin said, part of this evaluation, we'll be looking at all the different options to help kind of put some type of barrier between us and our neighbors, or also what new odor control equipment may need to be installed.
Thank you. I'm going to bounce back to the bill again, and this is a follow-up comment that the sewage bill is included in the water bill. Yes, it is that way for everyone if you have Louisville Water and MSD. And it was where they rented for 2 years. The bill was an average of $100 a month. For just the sewer portion, it was unexpectedly high. With that, I would say that the sewer portion of your bill is covering actually 3 services. We're only talking about one tonight, but it's wastewater collection and treatment, and flood protection, and stormwater and drainage. So those 3 services are rolled into one item on the bill. How long is the turnaround to get a response when we call to report odors?
Good question. If you leave a name and number, and then you ask to be again, we have a number of customers that have asked to be contacted, and over these last couple of years, me and Robin have either met or talked to customers over the phone, or gone out to their homes to meet and talk with them. But again, if you can make sure you leave an address, leave the exact source which you believe could be the odors, that allows us to go mitigate them. We don't necessarily, if we send out a crew that just goes and flushes that sewer main and they come back, I mean, just like anything in terms of closing out a work order, they may close it out, not necessarily contact anyone. So, a lot of times I would say is you can be as specific as you possibly can in your complaint, and even ask, you can ask for a response. And one of the things we do also is if we get after hours complaints to our computer room and around the Morris Foreman area, and specifically says Morris Foreman, we have supervisors. That facility is staffed 24/7, and we'll send supervisors out to do odor surveys, and they have reached out to customers or called them afterwards to say that they came out and what they found during that investigation.
Thank you. We've a question asking about the chemicals that we use in the processes, and are they non-toxic?
So in wastewater treatment, majority of the wastewater treatment is biological. The bugs come from us that are used to treat the wastewater. What chemicals we use, not to go too far off into them, for the most part are at our facilities where we do handling, biosolids handling, and that's polymer to help with that process. And then at our more regional plants, such as Cedar Creek and Floyd's Fork, because they're on smaller streams and have more stringent effluent limits, we use some chemicals to help with nutrient removal. And so again, those chemicals are not toxic in terms of their use, the way they're used in the treatment facility and then discharged to the streams.
Thank you, Damon. There's a question where someone has asked if we could provide a map with a buffer for the Lower River Road, which is our Derek R. Guthrie facility. I would ask that you, if you have email, please send an email to odor@louisvillemsd.org. I will get that, and then I can get that map from Robin and Damon and send it to you. I don't really want you to put your email in the chat, but if you could do that, or you could call our customer relations number at 540-6000 and leave your information if you're more comfortable with that, then we could take care of that request. Somebody wants to know if we can have individuals or teams name and contact info. Again, that odor@louisvillemsd.org lands in my mailbox. So if you want to send it in, I can distribute to the team. And you have, all right, so this one, I'm not sure where they are, but it says you have placed loggers/dumpsters right at the back of my property line. This is less than a football field from my home. Why can they not be moved or put them in an enclosed building? If you could, the person who asked that question, if you could put in there your location, because we have a lot of facilities. So if you could just give us a street name that, or an area of town, that would be helpful. There's a question that says, how periodically will these checks happen? I'm not sure what that's referring to.
In terms of, again, odor complaints I mean, the checks in terms of investigation of odor complaints, it's when we get an odor complaint, we are able to get them into our system and then route it to the, again, like with anything, you have triggers in terms of, if you say it's a chemical odor, if you say it's a sewer gas odor, if you say it's wastewater treatment plant odor, then that's how customer service will route them to the right groups.
I did get a response that's Lower River Road, but that's not from the same person who asked about the location of the loggers and the dumpsters. So I'm not
So
sure.
they're talking about Derek Guthrie. And
Okay.
based on, again, at that time, based on the design of where the way the facility is laid out, the logger pad is there. Again, with this phase 2 of our odor control master plan, we'll look at that and look at those opportunities to determine what we can do to address those odors that are coming from the luggers. The things we're doing right now, again, are, trying to make sure that waste management is able to pick them up, also making sure that luggers are cleaned out, properly cleaned out when they're brought back. And when we fill them, make sure we don't spill any material onto the ground. And again, make sure we cover them once we're done filling them up.
Thank you.
And again, I'm sorry, and a lot of, it's this summer that hit really quick. Me and Robin were talking a few weeks back about the difference in odor complaints. So an example, we looked at June of 2022 versus June of 2021 in terms of the amount of rain. So we have rain gauges at each of our treatment facilities, and just kind of give you an example, for all 5 treatment facilities for the month of June in 2021, they had a combined total of over 20 inches of rain. And for 2022, they had a combined total of just under 10 inches of rain. So again, it got dry really fast this year. And so for those that are on here, when during the spring, the fall, winter, and the spring, when it's wet and rain and temperatures are cooler, we have fewer odor issues.
You're muted, Cheryl.
The person who asked about the loggers and the dumpsters near her property line has responded that it's Derek R. Guthrie. She does ask why they couldn't be in an enclosed building.
That's the number of luggers that we have out there. It would have to be a really big building.
I think that you did state that there's an ongoing study and plan
Yep.
for improving odors at the Derrick R. Guthrie plant. So we'll have more of these meetings. So hopefully we'll have more
Correct.
news. There's how periodically will you check all neighborhoods sewer systems like you're doing to see if there are issues? I think that might be in reference to maybe the repair that's going on now on West Broadway when we proactively inspected that sewer that's been in service since the 1890s. I would say that the majority of our sewer lines are newer than 1890s, but I know that all of the large diameter sewer lines are under a inspection plan right now. I don't know how often what the schedule is for sewer lines that are maybe further out in the county. Do either of you know that? I think it's every 10 years, but I'm not sure if that's correct.
I think that's one. I mean, if you can forward us that question, that's one we can do some research on.
Well, I would say to this person who asked this, if you could again send an email to odor@louisvillemsd.org with that question, we can follow up with you. All right, so here's one. I called about Derrick Guthrie. I've been told they will have the doors open and then close them, and then all of a sudden the odor goes away. Why won't Waste Management get the containers?
Well, kind of going back to Robin's example of a holiday.
Yeah.
So if you think of the past 3 holidays we've had, 4th of July, we had Juneteenth, and Memorial Day. So again, on those Mondays, the landfills are not open, and the way we operate that facility is on 2 shifts, 16 hours a day. And again, one of the things we've tasked our staff with is to make sure they rotate, make sure the oldest sluggers are to the front for Waste Management to take away. So it's not like we just stack them, and it's kind of, that's one of the ways to try to help minimize the odors, is to make sure the odor luggers are to the front. So Waste Management will pick those up and take those off.
Thank you. And there's another comment about just Rubbertown in general has an odor problem, which that would be back to our Morris Foreman facility, but it's only one of.
Yeah, if with Rubbertown, it's all of those facilities, just as MSD to the Morris Foreman facility, are permitted by APCD. So I can't speak necessarily on what their permits entail in terms of what they have to do to mitigate odors or air emissions. But yeah, that area in general is permitted for each facility has permits for the number of emissions that they can put into the air.
That's all of the questions. There are some comments that suggest that we're just making excuses about holidays, that we know holidays are coming. I don't understand. I want to be on sewer system. Oh, maybe that's a person who's on a septic system who would like to be on sewers. I can totally get that.
Yeah, and then as you said, again, we understand. I mean, we're residents also. We live in the community. We're going back to the bill, going back to treatment plants. I lived in Park Duval for over 21 years. So yeah, I would even voice my concerns, and I was one of the ones that kind of volunteered to champion on this issue of addressing odors within the MSD collection system. But sometimes, yeah, we try our best again to process, to work with contractors to remove the luggers and try not to run into that holiday issue. Mm-hmm. And again, it's a good comment, and it's one we can take into account. It's something again in phase 2 that we'll be looking at. How can we, knowing there's certain things that we don't have any control over, right? And that's the hours of the landfill. But that doesn't mean we still shouldn't be working to try and address the issues that occur when we have to have the luggers sitting over additional nights.
So I'm not sure if the person who says I want to be on sewer system is somebody who's in an area of the county that does not have sewers. I'm not sure on that they're on a septic system. Another one would like to invite our board members to their home, which that's you can do that. I will say to that our board members are representatives from all over the county. So we have board members just like our employees. There's nearly 700 employees. We live in all parts of the county and neighboring counties and across the river. So as we understand, we have people who live in the areas. So it's not that we're just hiding away somewhere. So, and our board members are from all over the county as well. So I'm sure they would welcome your contact. If you want to send that to me at odor@louisvillemsd.org, I'd be happy to put you in touch with them or put them in touch with you. The person who I think maybe on a septic system says people around where she is have sewers. I'm not.
Well, it would be if they can send an email to you at odor.
Yeah.
MSD.org. So, I mean, depends. There are some pockets. There are still pockets in Jefferson County that are not on sewer. You're on mute again.
Yeah, I have a visitor outside my door. So he doesn't sound happy that I'm on a call. So sorry about that. Yes, if anybody wants to follow up with anything, please send an email to odor@louisvillemsd.org. If you don't have email, you can call our customer relations people. They're friendly and we'll talk to you at any time. And that's 502-540-6000. And you can leave your request with them and they'll get that to the appropriate person. And we have a thank you for our time and information. So thank you, Robin and Damon.
Well, again, we'd like to thank you for spending time with us this evening. We're working. Again, as Robin said, these aren't excuses, but, with supply chain issues and then, a number of these projects, we have to budget them to try and take into consideration our ratepayers and how we can make sure we get the most bang for the buck in terms of getting the projects that we believe will help the most.
There's a comment, when is the next meeting? Well, let me pull that up. So if I go to louisvillemsd.org/odor, at the bottom of the page, you can scroll down and you can see that the next meeting is September 13th. And the focus of that meeting will be our Morris Foreman Water Quality Treatment Center. So that's located in the West End. But as you can see on this call, this one was centered around Cedar Creek, but we've taken questions from all over the county and we're happy to do that. So the focus of that presentation will be on Morris Foreman on September 13th.
And remember also with that, it'll focus, because we've done one on Morris Foreman before. First one, this one will also have a focus for the downtown area and Highlands.
Yeah, and the one specific to downtown and the Highlands is November 29th. So those are the two meetings coming up, September 13th and November 29th. Currently, they're scheduled to be just like this, to be on our YouTube channel where you can attend from your home. And I'll put in the chat the next meetings, and I'm going to put the web address. Any other questions?
Great question tonight. Thank everybody for participating with us.
I'm adding the email to the chat too. Oh, I have one straggler question here. Still have time. Do you plan future flushes to prevent odors based on past weather experience?
So that group is what we're considered in treatment, we're considered vertical assets, and linear assets handles the collection system. And so we do, make sure I phrase this right. We have certain areas that we consider hot spots, but a lot of times the easiest thing to do is when you report an odor, again, as I mentioned during the presentation, if you can specifically say it's the catch basin on the corner of X and X intersection, or in some areas there's a manhole, or you can ask, are there any issues with the sewer line in my neighborhood? And like I said, we've had a number of complaints where we've gone out and flushed a line because it's either a short stubbed line that doesn't get a lot of flow. So it's just, a lot of them are case by case basis, and when we get reoccurring complaints in those areas.
Yeah, she states that she wants us to plan those flushes.
Again, if she can send an email to the odor@louisvillemsd.org and allow me and Robin to be able to look at the address and the area and maybe go back in and look at our system and see previous flushes and see what opportunities there are.
If you're comfortable with just putting an area in the chat, you can, or you can send the email to the odor@louisvillemsd.org where I will get that and I can forward this on. And that way I'll be able to contact you as well with an answer. I would like to just go back to rates a minute. It's our rate structure is based on your water usage. So that's how your wastewater charge is configured. It's so many cents per gallon of usage. I do have a question for the person who asked about the odor in a clean toilet. Can you describe what that smells like? And I've been informed that one of these questioners, we have your contact info. Yes. You spoke at our board meeting, so we've got that. Thank you.
And I believe it's one me and Robin visited. I believe we have recently flushed that line. Okay. And that's something since we have our information, we can see if that can be one. We talk with linear assets to see if that can be put on a reoccurring
Thank you, Damon.
schedule.
Does anyone else have another question? I don't see any other questions, Damon, if you want to close us out.
Again, thank you for spending a little bit of your evening with us. And, we look forward to, again, as Cheryl said, even though we have specific areas we address, we kind of go back overall to try and educate everyone again on combined sewer, separate sewer, and we'll take questions from any area. Again, anything you want to pass along or any additional information you need, odor@louisvillemsd.org. We all hope you have a good evening, And again, as you know, a lot of times I know we handle stormwater and flood protection, and we don't always like a lot of rain, but this time of year, Rob and I do like to see some more frequent rain showers than what we're getting to help with these odors. So again, have a good evening. Again, thank you for spending a little bit of time with us this evening.